This week we've got another video sponsor that's not me. So this video is sponsored by Jordan Allen's dark fantasy novel, Ashes of the Necropolis. The city of Thwart is a city rumored to hold the secret to eternal life, calls to those who seek its greatest prize. The fools who heed the call soon find themselves drawn into the wickedly evil necropolis that lies at the edge of the city. Ashes of the Necropolis is a dark fantasy story about a mercenary who travels to the undead-plagued land to find his missing companions and the trials he faces on this journey. It's what you would get if you take old-fashioned sword and sorcery and blend it with Japanese dark fantasy like Berserk and Dark Souls. I've started reading it myself recently, I'm so way behind on my reading list, and so far it's a fun, if somewhat dark, fantasy adventure. So check it out. The link to its Amazon page is below in the description. Show my latest sponsor some love. Now, on to the video. It's time for another Girls Und Panzer character analysis. And as you've already seen from the title and thumbnail, this time we're going to be taking a look at the one and only Duce Anchovy. Both because the next chronological battle in the series is Ori vs Anzio, and possibly because Chovy is my favorite character in the show. Well, if you put a gun to my head and made me choose at least. Since pretty much every girl in Girls Und Panzer can make a strong best girl case. I'm even such a fan that I've cosplayed her multiple times, including just a couple weeks ago, as a matter of fact. And on streams occasionally. Of course, she's basically the only character in the show a guy could cosplay without needing to cross-dress, and let's be honest, it's a slick uniform too. But enough tangents. Let's get to the reason we're all here. Looking at the character of Chiomi Anzai, aka Anchovy, aka Duce. As always, warning of some potential, albeit pretty minor, spoilers. Anchovy's time in Season 1 was basically just limited to the Anzio OVA. But between that and her later appearances, she really grabs your attention and makes a significant impact. As is obvious by her choice of outfit, and the school team she leads, Anchovy is at least somewhat inspired by Benito Mussolini. Mussolini, if you will. In fact, Anzio and its, lack of success in Senshiro is a not-so-subtle jab at the struggles World War II Italy's armed forces had, and at Mussolini himself, though in a playful way, as the show does with all its cultural stereotypes and jokes. It's hard to describe Anchovy in a single sentence, in no small part due to her having a Gap Moe personality. As I mentioned back in my video where I talked about the introduction to Anzio and Anchovy in their OVA, Gap Moe is more or less when a character does something completely contradictory to what their normal habits, personality, character type, or appearance might dictate. This very much applies to Chovy as an individual as much as it applies to Anzio as a whole. There are two primary sides to Anchovy. One, of course, is her Duce persona. While in this persona she has, or at least tries to have, a very confident, commanding presence. She's also somewhat aggressive, at least when it comes to Senshiro, and somewhat simultaneously comes off as a bit overconfident and with a slight inferiority complex. Though as we see, she's really just a dork at heart, in the best sense. Whether it's in honest moments like when the food bell pulled the rug out from under her in that opening scene, we see that she isn't really just a girl trying to channel and cosplay Mussolini. She's simply someone who loves Senshiro, trying to have fun and do her best, and to encourage her team to do their best as well. The latter is a little bit more of a challenge. We truly see the other side to Anchovy's personality though, even while she's more or less still in the Duce personality after Anzio's match against Ori. As disappointed as she might be at the pretty lopsided loss, sorry that Italy and World War II memes are never going to die, she takes it gracefully, in stride, and enthusiastically invites Ori to a post-match party. For Anchovy, like Kay and a number of other characters, winning isn't all that matters. She genuinely loves the sport, and the culture surrounding it. None of this means she doesn't care about the competition itself, of course. Even in her limited appearances, Anchovy proves herself on more than one occasion a very capable commander, able to innovate and adapt to new scenarios. She and Anzio as a whole are just largely limited to what they could do by the fact that they've got mostly tankettes, which aren't particularly great in Senshiro engagements. So she does get visibly frustrated at times, though it never really feels like she loses control or gets overly angry. She might snap at one of her teammates when they make a boneheaded move, but it's always limited to that, and she cares more that everyone is okay, and that they enjoy themselves. Hers is the sort of frustration that any serious competitor feels when they're losing in a game, especially one where they thought they had a chance, at least a decent chance, at winning. Though she really didn't need to completely murder the British that badly here. As I mentioned before though, Anchovy is a solid commander and tactician, and she makes the best use she can of all her available resources, while also doing her best to try and keep her team as motivated as possible, despite being well aware of just how outmatched they usually are. In their film, remember, Chovy and her crew were the unsung MVPs of the match. The big match, that is. By taking her CV-33 off the roller coaster tracks and serving as, essentially, eyes in the sky for the rest of the team, greatly helped the Ori conglomerate team fight the match in relatively even terms. Don't worry, we'll probably have multiple videos eventually talking about that masterpiece of a battle. But ultimately, what I think makes Anchovy as popular as she is among fans of the show, and with me personally, is just the energy she brings. She isn't a particularly bombastic character, but she always has an infectious enthusiasm when excited, and commands attention at other times. So she really steals the scene she's in most of the time, making the most of her limited screen time. Stuff like her exaggerated confidence at times, her flair for the dramatic that rides the line between cool and comedic. It's this enthusiasm combined with her gap-mowing moments, when her very outgoing Duce energy is a bit deflated, to the point where her collapsing atop her defeated tank is kind of a running joke, that she's just so fun to watch whenever she's on screen. Also, while I generally don't bring up the comic stuff in these videos, mostly because with Girls Und Panzer as an anime original, the anime is the primary source for what's canon, there are a couple things worth mentioning here. First is that in the anime version, there was a change made to Anchovy from the manga where the Anzio battle was first released, making her less aggressive and giving a somewhat better impression of her, especially pre-match. I know somebody would bring it up in the comments if I didn't mention it, so here it is. Also in some of the comics, it's mentioned that she comes off as having a very different personality when she's just Chiyomi Anzai, as opposed to Duce Anchovy. While fully out of persona, she's got a much gentler, studious, and demure personality. She's also got a bit of a Superman gag there, as she's apparently completely unrecognizable by her Senshiro teammates while just plain Chiyomi, with glasses and without the twin tails. I don't know if we'll ever get a chance to see her in the anime like that, but it would be super cute if we did. Since, as I've mentioned, so much of what makes her a really fun character is the way she so easily shifts between the cool, confident leader and the cutest thing ever. Like the rest of the Anzio girls, Anchovy is very true to herself, even when in her Chunin persona and just having a blast. And even when trying to corral the cats that are her Senshiro teammates. The more of that we get to see, the better. This all really does make her a perfect anime girlified representation of Benito Mussolini. An effective leader, smarter than it might seem at first, full of energy and confidence, and with an impeccable ability to strike a pose, but ultimately kind of hapless and a bit of a meme. A lovable one in this case. She really just seems like someone who it would always be fun to hang around with. There would never be a dull moment, that's for sure. Just like any good Duce, she really makes a memorable impression. If you enjoyed this video and would like to support me in what I do here, the best way to do that right now is to go back to the Amaranth Angels Kickstarter campaign. It's my single biggest creative project yet. You'll be getting a great original manga in return, one which I hope will be a worthy addition to the military moe genre we all enjoy so much. There'll be some cool new reveals, and possibly some new add-on options added over the course of the campaign, so make sure to watch the space. Also, make sure to check out Jordan Allen's fantasy novel, Ashes of the Necropolis. And as always, if you have any thoughts on this video or there's anything Girls Und Panzer related you'd like me to talk about, definitely share them below in the comments. I love to hear them and I do my best to read all the comments and respond to as many as I can eventually. And don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any future uploads. That's all for now, so until next time.